Hello everyone, welcome to Diplomatic Briefing. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit was held for 2 consecutive days in Tianjin. This is the first time in 7 years that China has once again hosted the summit. The SCO is the successor to the Shanghai Five. The Shanghai Five was formed in 1996 by China, Russia, and 3 Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. In June 2001, the leaders of these 5 countries and Uzbekistan met in Shanghai and announced the establishment of a new organization to deepen political and economic cooperation. In June 2017, the organization expanded to 8 countries, including India and Pakistan. Iran and Belarus also joined the organization in July 2023 and July 2024, respectively. Several other countries can also participate as observers or dialogue partners. When it first started, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization focused mainly on issues such as combating cross-border crime and counter-terrorism. As China's economy has risen, China has increasingly emphasized promoting economic and trade cooperation within the SCO. In the past 5 years, China's trade volume with SCO member states has surpassed 3 major milestones, rising from 300 billion to 400 billion and then to 500 billion, forming a strong upward curve and becoming a new engine for China's foreign trade growth. According to data from the General Administration of Customs, from January to July this year, China's goods trade with other member states reached $293.2 billion, setting a new record for the same period. In 2024, the total import and export volume reached 3.65 trillion yuan, which is 36 times that of when the SCO was first established. For economic and trade exchanges to flourish, fast and convenient logistics are essential support. In recent years, a cross-border logistics system composed of railways, highways, and aviation has established a vital economic and trade link connecting China with other SCO member states. In June this year, the 110,000th China-Europe freight train departed from Jiaozhou Station in Shandong, marking that the total value of goods transported by the China-Europe freight trains has exceeded $45 billion. This dedicated freight line passes through most SCO member states, forming a vital steel artery that connects China with its SCO partners. And that's not all. There are also highways and railways connecting China, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as well as the Trans-Caspian International Transport Corridor. Together, these networks of connectivity, both within and beyond the SCO countries, are rapidly taking shape, complementing and supporting each other, and driving trade volumes to a new level. Compared to traditional routes, the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan road rail intermodal transport can save 5 days in transit time and reduce costs by 30%. Since the beginning of this year, the transport volume for companies using this route has increased 4-fold compared to the same period last year. Relying on the increasingly well-developed water, land, and air intermodal transport network within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Chinese automobiles, machinery, and home appliances are continuously entering the SCO member states' markets, while high-quality agricultural products, handicrafts, and energy resources from member countries are also reaching China more quickly and directly. At the Korgos railway port on the China-Kazakhstan border, the customs clearance time for imported goods has been reduced from the original 2 to 3 days to within 16 hours. This improvement is thanks to reforms such as the implementation of intelligent railway port systems and expedited local customs clearance at the port. Efficiency of customs clearance at other SCO ports such as Manzhouli, Ningbo, and Tianjin Airport has also improved. By establishing dedicated channels and optimizing procedures, efforts are being made to build a high-speed trade route for foreign trade between China and SCO member states, with online economic and trade cooperation also a key focus. Unlike in the past, when companies had to physically visit markets and look for clients, since the launch of the SCO Comprehensive Economic and Trade Service Platform, 22,000 businesses from SCO member states have rushed to register, allowing for seamless online connections with interested enterprises. At present, the declared transaction amount on this platform has already exceeded 250 billion yuan. The impact of promoting e-commerce is evident. In 2024, the online retail market size among SCO member states surpassed $3.2 trillion, accounting for more than half of the global share. China's cross-border e-commerce imports from other member states increased by 34% year-on-year, and more regionally distinctive products are reaching international markets through e-commerce platforms, injecting new vitality into regional trade growth. To put it simply, the United States wants to decouple from China and is also pressuring its allies to pursue de-Sinicization together. China, relying on its status as a manufacturing powerhouse, is countering the US attempt at de-Sinicization through diversified cooperation. On the contrary, the US is increasingly realizing that it is actually very difficult to compete with China in many fields now. Drones have stood out in recent local conflicts, but the shortcomings of the US in this area have become a real headache for the Pentagon. A lengthy article published by Politico on August 27th revealed the difficulties the US military faces in deploying drones. Some military experts have pointed out that due to bureaucratic reasons, the Pentagon has been too slow to adapt to this new form of drone warfare, and it can be said that only in the past month has it really started to make an effort. In July, the Pentagon announced the establishment of an interdepartmental joint task force to promote progress in drone operations for the U.S. military. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin believes that the United States should treat drones as inexpensive munitions that can be consumed in large quantities and mass-produced, rather than spending years developing new, expensive aircraft. However, experts point out that all of this is just a good start. And that is precisely the problem. The United States has already started too late. The US is far from mastering the various advanced drones used in the Russia-Ukraine war, whether it's suicide drones, drones used for laying mines or transporting medicine, or even large mothership drones capable of releasing smaller drones behind enemy lines. Jensen, a U.S. Army Reserve officer and senior professor at the Marine Corps University, sarcastically remarked, "All talk and no action. How many more memos do we have to write before we can get rid of those standing in the way?" Beatty, director of the defense program at the Center for a New American Security, a U.S. think tank, John also said, "We are really behind." The problem with our drone deployment is that there really aren't any good or even decent options. Every single drone here is significantly inferior in quality and the costs are even higher. At present, we do not have the industrial base to produce these drones. Emenek, a contractor working on the Pentagon's Blue SUAS program, also agrees with this view. He said that U.S. drones are still heavily dependent on Chinese components, especially since the battery, motor, and magnet markets are almost entirely dominated by China. Amalek said that the Blue SUAS program has tried to find alternatives outside of China, but due to a lack of funding, it has not been effective in practice. The project has only produced a negligible number of American-made drones. It explained that America's biggest weakness lies in components such as batteries, motors, and magnets, and control over these markets is still almost entirely in China's hands. After US President Trump signed several executive orders in June to force the production of American drones that do not rely on foreign manufacturing, the US industry has realized that what Trump is doing is essentially daydreaming. The South China Morning Post at the time quoted industry insiders and analysts as saying that China's leading position in the global drone market makes it very difficult for the United States to exclude China from the supply chain, at least for now. According to data from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, DJI holds as much as 90% of the US commercial drone market share. A marketing specialist from an American drone company said that if DJI is banned, it will be a problem for all public safety agencies in the United States. Why has the US military, which claims to be the global benchmark for defense innovation, fallen behind? Politico quoted former US Secretary of Defense Caldwell as saying that the main reason can be traced back to an old problem. American generals and commanders are always fighting the last war. He said that many generals' frames of experience are still stuck in the Gulf War or the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Combined with traditional Pacific war games, this has led the Pentagon to continue allocating most of its resources to F-35s, missiles, ships, and high-precision weapons. And My Like from the US Department of Defense's Innovation Unit also said that this issue has received too little attention, even though a record $179 billion has been allocated for drone development. However, the Pentagon has also not clearly defined its future development direction. This is not just a technical issue, the update of operational doctrines is also extremely slow. Earlier, when the US Army posted a so-called first-ever video of a drone dropping a grenade on social media, netizens mocked them, saying that Russia and Ukraine had already been doing this 3 years ago. Bondar, a Ukrainian military expert and researcher at the Washington think tank Center for Strategic and International Studies, said that in Ukraine almost every soldier knows how to use drones, how to operate them, and how to avoid them, something that hasn't even started in the United States. Technology is changing too fast. Do you now need to stockpile and purchase millions of drones? But what if they become obsolete in just 6 months? That would be a waste of money. Some experts are also concerned that even with a large allocation of new funds, the drone revolution has not sufficiently changed Americans' fundamental views on how to conduct warfare. Jensen specifically pointed out that the military seems reluctant to make substantive changes to personnel policies in order to cultivate drone specialists. The US military does not have the widespread drone skills seen in Ukraine. The military is also unwilling to establish new positions to develop drone expertise, often simply having machine gunners double as drone operators. Although the US military is learning from the use of drone combat equipment in the Russia-Ukraine war, a report published by the conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation on August 4th points out that, given its current capabilities, the United States is very likely unable to win a drone war against China. America's 20 types and several hundred drones would be at a severe disadvantage when faced with the millions of drones fielded by the Chinese military. Regarding how to alleviate the drone predicament, Brose, the president of U.S. defense contractor Anduril Industries, said that the real solution will come from the upstream part of the contracting process. Hudson Institute senior fellow Shadlow also believes that the Pentagon needs to streamline its contract procedures, which are bogged down by excessive bureaucracy, make use of existing commercial manufacturing facilities to produce weapon systems, and purchase more off-the-shelf commercial components. After reading this lengthy article from the American media, I have a few observations. First, there is a problem with the American system. It's like a giant that can't turn around. Second, the reason why China's applied technology can advance by leaps and bounds is because of its institutional advantages. The country encourages both innovation and application, while competition among enterprises drives progress. Third, since its founding, the United States has never encountered a country with as powerful an industrial base as China, which possesses almost the entire chain of industrial manufacturing processes. Now, every time the US discovers a weakness, it tries to patch it up haphazardly, but each policy to fix a weakness only reveals even more shortcomings.